This is Chiropractic Marketing FM, an on-demand talk radio show that covers internet marketing best practices for chiropractors. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick MacNamara. Welcome everyone to episode number 5 of the Chiropractic Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Patrick MacNamara. And today we're going to focus on search engine optimization. More specifically, SEO that's associated with your chiropractic website, known as On-Page SEO. But first, I need to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Blogging Chiropractors. Blogging Chiropractors helps chiropractors keep their blogs active with relevant content that's designed to help convert readers into new chiropractic patients. It's blog writing made simple. Sign up for their 14-day free trial over at www.bloggingchiropractors.com. No credit card is required with no further obligation to join. So give it a try. You have nothing to lose. That's www.bloggingchiropractors.com. Now back to the show. If you recall during the Q&A of episode number 4, I introduced the 3 types of SEO that every chiropractor ought to know. I also provided very basic definitions and why they are important. Over the next 3 episodes, I'd like to briefly unpack each type so you have a better understanding and appreciation of their role in getting your website showing up in the top spots of Google. Now, one disclaimer. Search engine optimization isn't something you can simply master in a few podcasts. Remember, an entire industry is built around SEO. Matter of fact, the most recent report I could find online claims that companies will spend over $65 billion, yes, that's with a B, $65 billion on SEO services. So don't think for 1 minute that I can provide you with everything you need to know about SEO in 3 short episodes. It simply isn't possible. But I can provide you with the initial material that'll help you build a better SEO foundation for your site and hopefully encourage you to learn more as time goes on. Ready to get started? All right, let's dive in. The first type of SEO I mentioned is on-page SEO. If you recall from episode number 4, I said that on-page SEO deals with optimizing the pages and content of your website. Don't take this lightly. If your on-page SEO isn't done correctly, the other 2 types won't work like they were designed. So think of on-page SEO as the first layer of a pyramid. It provides the foundation to the other 2 layers that'll eventually lift the structure to great heights. So how do you go about performing on-page SEO? Well, it's pretty simple. You start with one page, optimize it, then move on to the next page. For example, let's say your website consists of 10 pages of content. You have a home page, an about page, a contact page, etc. Each page should contain content that's relevant to the title of the page. So in this example, your About page should only contain content about you, the chiropractor. This should be reflected not only in the content, but also in the title of the page, as well as the page's meta description. For those of you using WordPress, which by the way I recommend in episode number 4, setting up your page's title and meta description tag can easily be accomplished through the Yoast SEO plugin. That's spelt like toast, except with a Y. For further discussions on this, check out the article I wrote over on my blog titled 3 Types of SEO Every Chiropractor Ought to Know. Scroll down to the section that's titled What Every Chiropractor Ought to Know About On-Page SEO and follow the instructions on how to set things up appropriately using the Yoast SEO plugin. Once you have things set up, the Yoast SEO plugin will help guide you through the rest. It'll make content suggestions, help you optimize the page around your chosen keyword or keywords, analyze the readability of your copy, make sure you aren't duplicating content across your website, by setting canonical URLs, as well as other technical goodies like setting up a sitemap, your site's .htaccess file, etc. Now, obviously, there's so much more to on-page SEO than that. For example, your content should be structured using the correct header tags. Images should contain an alt attribute, and hyperlinks within your content should use no follow or do follow appropriately, depending on if you're wanting to pass on link juice to another site or not. My point is this: there are many variables to making sure your site's on-page SEO is airtight. But once it's done, unless, of course, you make drastic changes to the page in the future, which means you'll need to reflect those changes within the page's SEO as well. So that briefly covers on-page SEO. I'll leave links to some of the things I mentioned on today's episode in the show notes below. Stay tuned, because in episode number 6, we'll cover local SEO. All right, let's move forward with today's Q&A. Today's Q&A comes from Dr. Justin. He asked, if I had the basics of Twitter and Facebook down, what's next? Well, Dr. Justin, that's a good question, but very hard to answer specifically, because I don't know if you're relying only on Facebook and Twitter. I hope not, but I've seen it happen far too many times. So the first thing I would say is to make sure you're building your platform around your website first, not social media profiles. Remember, websites are assets that you own and grow, whereas social media accounts are tools you use to promote your main asset, which is your website. If you got that down pat, then make sure your site is set up as a lead-generating website. In other words, do you have a very clear path set up that converts website visitors that come from Facebook and Twitter into email subscribers? If you don't, you're simply wasting your time, because building an email list should be your number one objective with any type of internet marketing. Now, if you're lost and don't have a clue about what I'm talking about, simply visit my blog over at nextgenerationchiropractor.com. I wrote an article titled, "Why Building an Email List Should Be Your Number One Objective with Chiropractic Marketing." It'll lay the foundation down on why this is so important. I also plan to cover this very important topic in future episodes, so make sure you stay tuned. Well, that's a wrap. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast. Just click on the links found in today's show notes, or simply go over to iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher and search for the Chiropractic Marketing Podcast. Also, I'd really appreciate your review of this podcast over at iTunes. Let me know what's good, what's bad, and what simply needs to be axed. The choice is completely yours, but reviews do help build awareness of this podcast within iTunes. So I'd greatly appreciate your review and any input you can leave. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time.